Never forget. Oh, good to hear.
I honor all honorable beings in this, whatever it is, whenever you see this video. Okay? So, we're going to have a brief discussion. I really have given intention to speak of this void, void of, as much as virtually possible, void of feeding egregores that are connected to the collective, that are connected to the topic. Viewer discretion is advised. If this video and this topic is not for you, that's okay. That's the beauty of this reality. We can all scroll on to something more suitable to our liking. Okay, I am a voice, but I'm also a voice that's not interested with, I believe, trying to convince is a form of louche, trying to browbeat, argue, and debate is a form of louche. I also believe it's dishonorable to the being. We all are what we are. We get where we get. We see what we see. It is what it is. It's an individual thing when it comes to our state of consciousness and being. And when it comes to what we think, feel, and believe, this is a journey. There's all types of variables that are involved. But this particular topic, I want to recite a phrase that's used in the Bible. Okay, we're not discussing in this video if this is true events, if, because this thing can get very like a spaghetti bowl. Okay, that's not what this video is. This video is just using an example, an actual statement, a phrase, a scripture, a verse in the Bible pertaining to the Bible's Jesus at his crucifixion. Okay, according to the Bible. In one of the recounts, there's a record of Jesus saying, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." I know the title says something like, "What if turning the other cheek means?" Okay. So I'm talking slow for a reason. I'm talking flat. I'm trying to talk flat for a reason. Um, because everything is resonance and vibration and frequency. So these extremes that we are conditioned into swinging between and leaning into, okay, these extremes, whether that be a doormat, forgive, turn the other cheek, out of passivity, out of fear of uncomfortability, out of, if that's the motivating vibration, then that's a frequency in itself, and then that may be ignorance, and that may not be serving in its highest form. But then the other extreme is fighting, constantly bickering and fighting to, you know, uh, stand up for yourself. It's still a form of louche. It's still a form of supply, because once again, you're still engaging in feeding. Meanwhile, you can be on about your way. But you see what I'm saying? But what if the honorable, the accurate depiction or meaning could be something like resonance and starving parasitic egregores? What if it also meant something to do with the fact that those who are hardwired are not always conscious to their own actions? Forgive them, for they know not what they do. What if they know not what they do because they really know not what they do? They are under the influence of an egregore, a system, a belief. They're hijacked. So it is not to excuse the behavior or to even imply that you should stay. What if turning the other cheek, forgive not for they know not what they do, is more about preservation of your resonance and starving a parasitic system? Turning the other cheek, because it's like, what if turning the other cheek doesn't mean you stay right there and you let them beat the bejesus out of you? What if the higher vibrational sense of it is, and discretion, we have to keep this in proper perspective. There's no hard cut, but what if it was to starve? What if our attention is what creates in the first place? What if our attention is what gives power in the first place? What if our attention gives consciousness and meaning in the first place? And what if that's a real slick and tricky and sneaky way to get it from you? To keep us, and see, remember I said, it's, somebody, take it with a grain of salt, and, we're not going to do this perfectly. No, because again, we all have been conditioned a certain way. And it's this whole thing of getting unconditioned, it's a volatile process with ourselves and with the powers that be. What if it was about to starve a parasite? Turn the other cheek. In other words, don't engage. It didn't say really stand there. It says turn. Turn can mean turn the other cheek and keep it pushing. There's other scripture references, I want to say it's possibly in the Proverbs, that might go along with that whole premise of something along the lines of, you don't argue with a fool. And I know people think when you hear that statement, it's like, oh my God, that is so insulting. Like, oh my God, that is so condescending. Well, what if it's not really meant to be in its highest vibration? What if it's simply saying somebody that's ignorant to whatever the topic at hand is? It's not to say that you're supreme or, it's what if the individual or people or group in which what if they're ignorant? And your talking may not take away the ignorance, because if it's a hardwired, conditioned program, so your talking is not going to change their program in that sense.
All right.
You living your truth and speaking to those who are ready when they hear. But the back and forth, no. Cognitive dissonance is the brain's survival mechanism to survive when it's perceiving a threat. And when we have egregores and hardwired belief systems, the brain is perceiving it as a threat. So if there's a belief system there, whatever it is, it's not something that you consciously process. The brain, the subconscious, is going to fight that because of the system that's currently running. So what if, much like physical parasites, and I know people get all activated with the word even parasites, but when we think of parasitic things, if we look at the physical parasites that we deal with, the only shot we have dealing with parasites is making our body inhospitable to it. That's you're not going to argue with the parasite. You're not going to give it a shot. You have to do stuff with your body to make it inhospitable and things that it doesn't like, basically. Those are our only physical means of dealing with any physical parasites. It's got to be the things that it can't survive in, that it doesn't like, and then it goes away. But us arguing with it, us trying to do mind control over it, it's that ain't gonna work. It's the environment has to become inhospitable. In other words, become something it can't res with, something that its existence cannot hold. And as a default, as a byproduct, it's the dying cycle of the parasite commits, right? But let's say the parasites like certain things, like we're all dealing with some kind of physical parasites. I mean, good gracious, our diets, our life, all this, the air, blah, blah, we all dealing with something on a physical, right? And the things that certain parasites like, that's how they thrive. So, you know, um, our sugar, let's go there. Let's say there's a parasite uh, that thrives in sugar. Now, listen, I'm not trying to say this good or bad. I like too much junk food and sweets and shit. So I'm not implying with this conversation that I've evolved past the sugar parasite. Like, I'm simply trying to bring life, physical, tangible understanding. Okay, so if we were struggling with a sugar parasite in our body, and there's certain foods that this particular parasite thrives and grows, as we continue to ingest this sugar, even if we were taking some of the things that the parasite doesn't like per se, it's going to be a mixed bag, because it's like you're killing it, you're feeding it, you're killing it, you're feeding it, you're killing it, you're feeding it. So you're really not going to be, it's, you really still have it. Okay, no judgment. It's just that the environment is still conducive for it to thrive. So it's invited, it's drawn, it feeds. Okay. Um, but if, let's say, you went on a sugar fast, a sugar detox, you're gonna feel resistance too, right? Your body may start getting the shakes, the shivers. You may feel irritable and grumpy. You you're not in the initial part of detoxing the parasite, because you know it's going to be fighting against all that you're doing. But if you continue that, let's say you did the 3 days or whatever, right? There's there's going to be the detoxing of that parasite out of your body, because you starved it. And you may eventually feel better, but the feel better part is usually not right away, because that parasite is like, how dare you fucking withdraw my goddamn sugar feed, bitch. How dare you? It's gonna make you feel all kinds of awful in the physical. Okay. Um, Likewise with this other stuff, the resistance. It doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel comfortable, because it's natural to want to defend yourself. It's natural to want to engage. It's natural when something is in your face, or when you have been used to something for so very long, or you have been told something a certain way. It's hardwired in your DNA. Um, yeah. So what if the whole turning the other cheek is to preserve one's own energy, with the knowledge of you can't defeat someone else's parasite. You have to starve your own. You're just going to stay there with them and their parasite as you continue to try to convince them that it's a parasite. What if it's not about passivity or about extreme radicalism, either or of these extremes? What if it's not about trying to look spiritual or new agey? Or what if from a quantum, cosmic, vibrational, frequency, resonant standpoint, period? What if it was coded? What if all that talk was coded? And what if, just what if, for your own liberation, so that you're not tethered to the parasite, so that you're not stuck in the loop. Another reference that's coming to mind, and we have all heard this reference, every last one of us has heard this at some point somewhere, whether this is in church or self-help, self-improvement, whatever. We've all heard something like this. You can't, they can't fight by themselves. You got to engage. You have to, you see that? You have to engage. Otherwise, what are they going to do? Now you got some extreme psychotic versions of energy that basically follow you around, but in the most normal sense. If you refuse to fight with somebody, with, in a normal sense, you got to engage. See, now what's fascinating to me is also narcissists, how they use the ghosting, for control and leverage, that ignoring and stuff like that. Their vibration and intentions and the way they go about that stuff is what makes it toxic and abusive, their whole tactic. But for beings that are surviving stuff, it's not even called ghosting. It's called no contact. And no contact is another word or phrase for saying basically you don't engage. And it's not the easiest thing to do. So I need to say this as a disclaimer, just to, full disclosure. I'm not claiming that I have reached maximum mastery of this. This is something that is my daily, moment for moment intention and goal, is regulating my nervous system and my emotions. Now that I understand that that's a part of the parasitic tether and feed, but from a different space than that of those who are leaning into the narcissism and the dark triad, where it's like they're dead, they don't care, and it's a tactic of control and leverage. See, those are all different. That's a different frequency. What if forgiving is not forgiving in a sense of letting, it's not the traditions of being doormats, or even failing to take action, because there are times where there's certain types of action that's serving. So I'm not even implying turning the other cheek when, or forgiving, or any of those things when there's actions in the physical needing to be taken, but the proper actions versus reactivity and high adrenaline. You see that? Because we can still take actions as guided, sovereignly guided, when guided, and still starve the parasite, if that makes sense, or the egregore, if that makes sense. Because some stuff in this physical if and when you can action something, and if action of sorts is required. Okay? If you need to file a lawsuit, if you need to, file a form, a complaint. But we can do those things from a different space where we have gotten the clarity. We're not going back and forth in arguments in the emotional sense with people. We're not, unnecessarily divulging. It's kind of like bare minimum. And it's to the appropriate individuals as well. You see what I'm trying to say? In situations where it's like, okay, we need to say something. We do need to say something. We need to do something. Okay. But from a different space. And other times when the discernment or the knowledge, reveals that sometimes, okay, there's no actions to be taken in this incident. The action is don't engage. That's the action. The actioning is do not engage or cease to engage. Because it's parasitic, it's attention getting and seeking, it's baiting, it's triggering, it's all the things designed to keep you tethered and to keep you putting attention into. I've talked about this kind of stuff in different ways. That's why it always seems like there's like this tantruming 3-year-old collective energy with all these grown people with suits.
Yeah.
That's why they tell their people to behave oddly in front of you, walk in cross of you, just be weird, just stuff to force attention. I'm going to force you to see me. This is why illegitimate surveillors, investigators are obvious. This is why they pull up, in some cases, literally right as they know you're watching. Because they want that attention, that fear, that agitation, that is why they'll go out their way to manifest zombies seemingly out of thin air. The trigger. That's even what they do to the differently abled. Is something that I talk about a lot, because their population, their sensitivities and all that is cruelly exploited. They know that they're sensitive like that, so they cue and hire people to do all sorts of stuff to the sensitive, like, the autistic, the, neurodivergent, whatever, or people that are still just stuck in their pain or their trauma or whatever. That's to pull attention. Loud noises, sirens, bright lights. Sometimes. It just depends. But what if ignoring in this way, in this manner, is not spiritual bypassing, passivity? What if is to starve the thing? Because if something is built based on collective energy given to it, if I don't care what the something is, a god, a goddess, a policy, a movement, whatever it is, if something is built by collective belief, collective consciousness, collective thoughts, reinforcements over and over again, fears, adoration. If it's built by that, then it is destroyed by the withdrawal of it. Just like a parasite. And for us that love the Ebonics and Herbalite, the urbanite version of it, we've all said stuff like walk out the room, leave, different things where we're implying that you don't have to engage. If somebody is being parasitic, and I'm not talking about healthy exchanging or healthy conflict resolve and being an adult and talking with your partner and people you love. We're not talking about that. We're talking about when something is hostile and intrusive and hostile and hurt, and going nowhere and blah blah blah. It's like, okay, you can get up and leave. We all heard stories about people saying they got up and got in their car and they took a drive around the block because they didn't want to what? They didn't want to what? Some people are avoiding, but then the people that are healthy, it's not that they didn't want to have a proper exchange, it's that it wasn't going to happen right then. And once we know, now here's the thing that I'm still trying to swallow, like the fact that people don't know that they're being V2K'd, it is another issue. Like people who may not have the knowledge or belief of that, they don't know that thoughts and planet are not always their own.
We waste our time to go to fitness, Mom.
I'll let you know what time.
You said 10 o'clock, we missed it.
They don't always know that. They're hardwired into the program, into the system. So people being cued to betray us, people being cued to do and say certain things, people, you know what I'm saying? Some folks that are hurting us aren't even consciously aware. That's the really kind of unfortunate. I still say that's unfortunate because they're not aware. In the program that they're running, the script that they're running, what they're doing is of honor to them. The script that they're running, they may not be able to see it. If there's other impairments there, then they don't have the processes or whatever. So them switching up on you, liking you, and then switching up on you out of nowhere, Maybe a lot of it is to help us because it's like they really do know not what they do. It doesn't mean that we should be their BFF or we should trust them or that we should allow ourselves to be abused. What it means is we address the issue from an internal space and make changes that we can make. Dang, I just saw the hugest butterfly in the world. What the hell? What the hell was that? Way up there. Okay. It's from there because how do you conflict resolve and argue with ignorance? If you think about it from that place without judgment, you're just like a computer program. You're not going to argue with that. Macintosh, Apple versus, Windows and Androids and things like that. That's not a discussion. It's not. It's hardwired. It's hardware. That's not a discussion. It's not a debate. It's not a good versus evil. It's a matter of factness. This is a Macintosh. This is Apple. This and its components operate as such. This is how it's able to operate. This is a PC. Its components are, and this is how it's able to operate. If you try to cross those, it's going to say the system does not compute. Incompatible, does not understand the code. So you can sit there and try to beat the PC into subjection to the Macintosh stuff, and you're going to get nowhere, and vice versa. And I'm just saying from like the most basic flat space, because I know somebody gonna be sophisticated out there and say, unless you get to this and that and make it up to do and get a third party. Okay, got it. But from its most foundational sense, its basic principle. And what if that's kind of the premise of what we deal with? Why we were portrayed by our own? This the way the system of the world is in the first place. And the fact that we all got scripts, and if we're not addressing those and all of those things, it's the hardwire. So turning the other cheek or forgiving is really not what we've been told. It's you preserve your energy, because you'll sit here and you will be giving loose to something that's not budging. And they just basically tie you, anchor you down with it. It's not budging. You're not about to philosophize it into enlightenment. I was listening to DS on, he has a different, membership only platform, and he mentioned mentioning this is why abusers do what they do too, because if they can't get the kind of loose from you, they want to have you they want to infiltrate you so much, bug you so much to force you. It's like a 3-year-old. Well, you're gonna talk. I'm gonna get energy. I'm gonna get energy one way. I'm gonna get energy. This is how I'm gonna be relevant. Because I'm gonna piss you off. I'm gonna do something intentionally piss you off and make you talk about me. They may not even always consciously know that they're doing that, but abusers, it's something that I tell you what, I'm going to continue to give it all I got to starve it. And I know it's going to have jagged edges. It's not going to be exactly smooth the way I want, but I'm loving myself through that. I'm okay with it. I'm taking full responsibility, understanding that the whole process is my responsibility, but I am loving myself through that, considering everything that's starting to come to light for me is helping me to have maybe just a little bit more compassion on myself. On myself. Especially considering everything that I've lived, and that I'm living with me and my son. And hopefully you can give yourself that kind of compassion if you're giving your full intention and making those changes, those working with your frequencies, working with your subconscious, doing the things that you can do. Give yourself some love and compassion through the messiness of it for yourself. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Some of them really don't know, because they are hijacked. They are hardwired. So they are not aware that their behavior is foul. They're not aware. That's a true statement. Because they are convinced via their own system script running. Or narcissist delusion. Because if you look into Dr. Ramani and some of the other specialists out there, they talk about the reality of the delusionment of those who are there. And what's unfortunate, now here's a side note, I believe that most of my people, we ended up on one or two of the spectrums, a narcissist or an empath. Empath from the broken sense is what I'm referencing. Empath from the broken sense is the martyr, the scapegoat, the one that takes on burdens that's not theirs, dumped onto, sponging up everybody's energetic junk. The narcissists are the abusers usually. They're the ones vomiting on everybody, or vampiring from people. According to even the studies about that, like they are not aware of themselves. So when they mistreat you, a lot of them, if in the most clinical sense, in those moments, they don't see it as such because their script, no matter how distorted the script is, it's hardwired. Like anytime you program, you put a program in something, you put a program in a computer, you create a software, that's it. It ain't a judgment, that's just it. That's how it's made. It's not about a judgment. So forgive them for they know what they do. Turn the other cheek. We'll spend decades and thousands of years and continue to be looped into the karmic reincarnation bullshit, trying to have conversations with an NPC or certain kinds of conversations with a script, a program that somebody is locked into. Just like once upon a time, we're locked. We're locked until we're not. We're locked until we decide and we start to engage with the unlocking. No one else comes. It just doesn't work that way for some reason. Ain't nobody else is coming with the key. And we fight it tooth and nail anytime someone else ever attempts to convince us something that we're hardwired to. Just saw another butterfly. What is going on with the butterflies lately? Anywho, that's that for this 3737 I just saw on the timestamp. So that number might have some significance for some of you. That breaks down to a 1010. And we're going to close these cycles. Okay?